Welcome to the fifth week of the program. Here we go. We're going to be focused on frameworks and scaling strategies. As a reminder, the first week we focused on our empowerment. Week 2, team empowerment in terms of our first 2 habits. Week 3 is all about defining our strategy and defining our targets. So making sure that all the effort, all the empowerment, all the motivation, all the accessibility that we are driving is driving towards the right thing. Week 4 is all about the effectiveness of our execution, the effectiveness of implementing our strategy. So make sure you review that before you start this week. And week 5 is about taking strategies that you've been successful with and making them available elsewhere in the business so that you can scale your impact. And this is a habit that you can do for driving that scaled impact, and something to adopt to really reach beyond yourself from a direct leadership point of view. So I got a little bit of the sun in my face today. That's just the way it is. I'm facing the south side of the room, so don't be distracted by the lines on my face. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So what are we going to be covering this week? Focusing on the definition of the framework, different types of frameworks, different building methods for frameworks, what's involved for converting a strategy into a framework, how do you publish your framework, and ultimately you're going to have to sell this framework into other groups to get them to see the value, for them to use it, and for you to get the recognition or part recognition from the outcomes of the implementation of your scaled strategy or framework. So let's go ahead and jump right in, talk about what a framework is, and being able to understand this and identify it so that you can realize some opportunities for yourself based upon all the great work that you're doing from a strategy perspective. So within the context of scaling your results, remember defining your targets, scaling the outcome from hitting those targets. What is a framework? A framework is really the amalgamation of the methods and the types of outcomes that you can create of a particular strategy that you have created, and it's been validated at least 3 times. And this strategy has high relevancy for either expanding more broadly from where you are or move to a different part of a business. So it enables you to take that strategy that is portable, that is relevant, and to convert it into something that someone else can directly lead under your supervision. Kind of think of yourself as a program or a product manager for your strategy that you're scaling out, which you've now turned into a framework. So going a little bit deeper into this, imagine if you had one of your strategies and you were able to make this conversion into a framework and you sold it and people started executing it. They're going to come to you for advisement. They may come to you for support on the implementation of the strategy. And you can then by proxy mark those accomplishments against your own accomplishments, because it's from work that you created and that you sold and that other people adopted and you coached them through it, or even in some cases potentially directed parts of it or the whole thing. If somebody that's kind of like a gatekeeper in a certain area wants you to directly implement the strategy, let's say on a different part of the business, on a broader part of the business, which would be great because that gives you more scope. So what is the framework in more detail? It's a strategy and it's repeatable, and the methods behind what allows it to be repeatable, so the execution of it, can be defined by collateral. So things that you can create that other people can use to implement the strategy and that they can iterate it again. And part of this, like consulting that you could do with others in terms of scaling your strategy, converting it into a framework and allowing that framework to be used to implement your strategy elsewhere, is and may need to be adjusted for the implementation of may need to be adjusted for the different stakeholders. So perhaps in this iteration of the strategy, it's a different set of stakeholders. Maybe they have some different set of expectations. you might be able to help this person that could be doing the direct implementation of the strategy to make some changes to make it relevant. Or if you're selling in this framework to a different set of stakeholders, you can reposition the strategy that it can serve some of their expectations or their needs, gaps, or what they consider to be core to the business. So what is this ultimately? It shows that your strategic and operational skills can be scaled to realize larger opportunities. So again, in different parts of the business, your strategy can be taken and implemented, or your strategy can be scaled more broadly across the business to get more scope. So action item for today, again, a practice every day. We have an action item. Just reflect on some prior work that you think could have been scaled or can scale, might be applicable to other parts of the business that you're in, or maybe it's a strategy that you had in a previous role or in another company, and that you can reformulate it for this new company or a new part of the business that you're working in, just to practice thinking about the prior strategic work that you did. Is it relevant for another part of the business that you're in, or more broadly across the business? Right, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll talk about 2 different methods for building a framework from your strategy.